Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, the king of all, those cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes, and plus, also those gigantic half and third pound burgers. Man, those prime Wagyu burgers, best I've ever had. Even the short rib of beef. Folks, I got to tell you, it is really, and I mean really, really good. Check them out at UppercutChops.com for more information. That's UppercutChops.com, or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100, 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. Yes! All right, welcome in, everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates, wherever across the United States of America. Big welcome in to everybody listening in on our independents, everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, and Wow Cable Television affiliates in select markets, plus Hotel TV, and everybody on Chicago Food Favorites. Thanks for joining us. That's on Facebook, Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. And so the story goes, LeBron Ramon James Sr. and Jr. deny allegations made in a new lawsuit claiming involvement in a Southern California car crash. Oh, yeah. So it would be LeBron James and his son, who shares the same name, but you can call him Bronny. They were named in a lawsuit claiming they crashed into two people on a Southern California highway in 2022. That's right. Isn't privilege enough? Seriously? Where does it end? So, of course, the new lawsuit claims that both LeBron Ramon James Sr. and Jr. crashed into two people on a LA freeway back in 2022, which are allegations that the James men have strongly denied. The lawsuit, according to the four-letter network, was filed by April Alamanza Lopez and Kiara Ray McGillen in Los Angeles County Superior Court in October. Of course, the two said that James and James crashed into them on a highway near Little Rock, California in November of 2022. So McGillen and Lopez said they sustained undisclosed injuries that require ongoing treatment and that their vehicle was damaged and depreciated. They are seeking unspecified damages. So, further specifics of the incident or the circumstances that led up to it are not necessarily known. Both the Palmdale Sheriff's Station and the California Highway Patrol told the four-letter network that they have no reports of the alleged crash. Little Rock sits southeast of Palmdale, both of which are north of the greater LA region. So attorneys representing the two James guys said in court filing that they deny, quote, they deny each and every allegation contained in the complaint and further deny that plaintiffs had been damaged in the sum or sums alleged or any other sum or sums or at all, close quote. They listed 14 defenses to the allegations in the filing. Now, folks, when you list defenses, look, that's sort of in my opinion, that is a fishing expedition, right? So you're trying to, I guess, throw something out there for the other people to basically bite at. Oh, I guess they got too much. We can't go ahead and pursue them. And this is a very common practice when it comes to one side or the other trying to defend their position. So they'll throw a bunch of crap out there. Let's see what sticks to the wall and what doesn't. And maybe we'll get the other side to stop pursuing. And we've seen this happen. Many of us have had this already happen. Now, look, the alleged incident took place when James Jr. was still in high school. And he spent one season at USC before the Lakers somehow conveniently drafted this guy, number 55 overall in the previous NBA draft. So James and James conveniently now are teammates in what is a historic first for the league. Seems like a little bit of nepotism to me as I see it. And the kid averaged an abysmal 1.4 points and 4.2 minutes in 17 appearances for the Los Angeles Lakers. That's right. Keep the booze going, because it is remarkably embarrassing for such a team with such a history to allow this ridiculous, in my opinion, nepotism to even exist. It's disgusting. Nonetheless, now these guys think that maybe they can get away with, I don't know, running into somebody's vehicle? Possibly. I don't know. I wasn't there. It's just an opinion, folks. Just an opinion. But what troubles me is it sure appears that certain players on certain teams in certain cities seem to get a little bit more privilege than others. Now, I'm not really sure what that privilege means, but I think you can figure it out yourself. Because, folks, let me tell you something. If you think it doesn't exist, it's almost like saying, well, looks like a duck, walks like a duck, talks like a duck, whatever. Well, it's probably a duck. Well, in this particular case, if it looks like something, it sounds like something, it reads as something may have happened, whatever, and why would there be a frivolous case or whatever, in my opinion, filed by an opposing party? Maybe there's some truth to it. While the defendant vehemently disagrees with the alleged incident that it even took place or whatever it was, I don't know. Look, I wasn't there, but I have to say that this kind of stinks a little bit, if you know what I mean. And almost as bad as the stat line for James and James Jr. with 24 points per game per dear old dad and an abysmal 1.4 for the kid. 7.7 rebounds for dear old dad, who seems to play whenever he the heck wants to, and an abysmal 0.4 rebounds per game for the kid. And the assist, 8.8 for dear old dad, and of course, 0.5 for the kid. That's ridiculous. I mean, where does it end, folks? Look, yes, it's interesting to see the idea of a father and son on the same team, but you all know that this sure sounds like a Hollywood script. You all have the same thoughts. Well, I can't say you all have the same thoughts, but what I can say is it sure appears that many people share the same opinion as I do, but nobody wants to talk about it. That's the part that troubles me. It seems like all those sportscasters, all the other TV and radio people out there, all of my peers, they say, you know what, we don't want to talk about this because maybe our money will get funny. Maybe they'll end up getting fired for talking about it. That's why we have a little blurb in between when we go on break, and it says that we talk about things that others are too scared to talk about. And this is exactly one of those examples. Nobody wants to touch the so-called golden boy. Nobody wants to touch the kid. Nobody wants to come near it. Why? Because as we've seen in the past, when people are on the same teams as senior, nobody wants to sit next to him, or we've seen this example in the past. People didn't want to sit next to him because maybe they thought that they were going to basically get traded or released from the team. And that's when you know it's bad. And look, I'm not saying the guy's not a good player. The guy's a good player. The kid, I don't know. I haven't seen enough of him because, you know what? He just doesn't really play that much now, does he? I mean, even in college, he didn't play much. I wonder what his grades were in college. I wonder how that whole thing worked. You know, in the next segment, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking college basketball. But I wonder what this guy's real ability is from an academic standpoint, because we've already seen from an athletic standpoint, he has shown some flashes that he can play potentially in the National Basketball Association. But when you look at his body of work, albeit small, in college, it says, as I see it, this kid cannot play in the NBA. And it was just something to appease the old man and keep him in Los Angeles, as I see it. And trust me, I'm not the only one that sees it. It's just nobody else, again, wants to talk about it. So, folks, when we come back, we're going to take a look at college basketball and some oddities, some weird things, and who knows where we're going to go with it. Stick around. Back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes, are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UppercutChops.com or call
714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
or make your selection directly at UppercutChops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Louis Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. And also, folks, a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates, including our friends over in Honolulu on CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That's home of the New York Yankees, San Francisco 49ers, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome in to everybody up and down the West Coast and throughout the heartland on our independents and affiliates that may be joining us. Also down to Auburn, Alabama, WAUD, home of the Atlanta Braves. Thanks for joining us from Columbus, Georgia, all the way over to Montgomery, Alabama. And, of course, hello to our friends on WDJY 99.1 FM in Atlanta. And, folks, listen, we're going to pick up with our discussion where we left off in the last segment. Maybe, but you know what? First, I want to send out a special hello to all of our friends, again, with the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. You guys have been with us since the very beginning. And, of course, that always is a very special thing, and it's a very special place for us. We always like to acknowledge those that have been with us during the good times and bad times. And as we developed as a show, we appreciate everything that you've done for us. And believe me, folks, it's no easy task to be a partner with an organization for a long time, let alone a show, but they have done the right thing. So thank you very much, College of Southern Nevada Athletics. So, talking hoops in the last segment with James and that car wreck, whatever, we think about the path to college. Now, the father didn't go really to college at all. He went right to the NBA. And then we have the kid who sort of went to the University of Southern California. I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. Who the hell knows? But, there's some oddities and weird things in college basketball. And some of those are the arenas. Now, think about this. I would say that one of the stranger, unique arenas in college basketball is Memorial Gym in Nashville for Vanderbilt University. Why? Because they have the benches on the opposite ends of the court. And, of course, a triple-deck structure. It's really strange. If you look at it, folks, you kind of scratch your head and say, what in the world's going on here? How about Allen Fieldhouse? It's considered one of the toughest places to play. That's over in Kansas. And, of course, Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, North Carolina for Duke University, considered one of the toughest arenas to play in. Statistically now, we think about, recently the Cardinals for Louisville. They had a baffling statistical package, including low field goal and three-point shooting percentage, but a good overall record. How the hell does that happen? Maybe it's through team defense. I don't know. How about Iowa? The Hawkeyes had surprising free throw woes despite some players shooting well from three-point line. Here you've got a free shot for the charity stripe, and they just can't seem to shoot their way out of a wet paper bag. And then you've got guys that are shooting lights out from three-point range. Now, that makes no sense whatsoever. How about this oddity? Troy State versus DeVry. Troy State versus DeVry. What? Who? What? 1992. Troy State defeated DeVry 258 to 141. Yes, of course, lots of unbreakable records in that one, but that's crazy. I mean, this looks like an NBA All-Star game score. I mean, geez, that's 399 points scored in that game. That's insanity. And, we think about how many of those teams that score that many points may be on the bubble, trying to make tournaments and this and that. Well, how about the old phrase, on the bubble? What's that? It's actually used to describe a team or a player who is almost good enough to make the postseason or the roster. And we've always heard, well, that team's on the bubble. They might make the field of 64 or whatever, 68 now, whatever the heck it is. I don't even know. And so there's a lot of terms out there that people just frankly don't know. So let's give them a round of applause. Now they get to know. So that said, how about the NCAA? They don't really have an official age limit for student athletes. Imagine that. So you can get in there maybe with your 40, 50 years old, and hey, let's face it, there's really no age limit. But there are other things to contend with now. We're going to get to that in just a moment, because some of these are a little bit baffling. And when you think of the NCAA with their no age limit, you ask yourself, well, all right, there are rules and there are things. Well, we're going to get to that in a minute. Tell you what, let's just get to it. Because there's something that says, well, is 21 too old to play college basketball? No, of course not. And there's no age limit, as I stated. But there are a whole bunch of other rules in college basketball. And one of them specifically has to do with, well, let's call it let's try to find the right word for this. How about amateurism rules? This is really important, folks. Now, you probably have not heard of this before, but they say, well, there's no age limit and all this other crap to play college basketball, whatever, college sports. But, yeah, the NCAA amateurism rule is a real thing, and there is something called certification. Now, this is according to NCSA Sports. NCSA Sports, all right? So it's the NCSA College Recruiting Home. And they say, in order to be eligible to compete and receive a scholarship as an NCAA athlete, you must meet the definitions of an amateur athlete in addition to minimum academic requirements. Oh, yeah. So the process of evaluating an athlete's eligibility as an amateur athlete will happen within the Eligibility Center / clearinghouse. This is for football and basketball, right? And some of the others, but these are the big revenue generators. And so athletes can compete and they can complete a set of questions about the team they have participated on. And based on the answers, the NCAA will determine your eligibility. So here's the issue. Okay, so you're going to take a test. And we've seen tests that have been compromised. And I'm going to go back to University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And so those guys, for 10 years, they had a class. And I remember covering this way back in, I think it was March or April of 2017. I was on Fox 1340 right here in Las Vegas at that time. And I covered this, and I guess their producer got really upset with me because he's a NC grad. Well, he didn't like the fact that I found the information about University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill cheating academically. And they had a class, a very specific class. It was called African American Studies Section 420. So it was a 400 level class, upper division class. And there was actually two classes with that same section, like an A and a B, if you will. So the A would be for the regular students, maybe the B would be for athletes, something to this effect. Well, and here's where the problem lies. So the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, what they did was they had their section for the student athletes. Actually, those player athletes were grading their own papers. That's right, they were cheating. And so they didn't have to worry about a teacher or a professor that was going to really grade them on the merits of their work. No! They did it based off of their own, well, alleged morals and ethics. Yeah. So that's the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. And guess what? The chancellor knew all about it. This was a 10-year program, a 10-year class, so to say, that was sitting out there. This happened for 10 consecutive years, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But it is the result, and you could probably find it if you do a search on it. And so we think of this NCAA amateurism rules and certification and go back to this test thing or this questionnaire, the process of evaluating an athlete's eligibility As an amateur athlete happens within the Eligibility Center / Clearinghouse, athletes compete and complete a set of questions about the teams they have participated on, and based on the answers, the NCAA will determine their eligibility. Well, how the hell do they do that? What is that based on? I mean, this is remarkably arbitrary. So they continue on with understanding the NCAA rules around this process is critical. And many of the amateurism violations happen well before an athlete has their status reviewed. Well, how the hell do they know what these alleged violations are in the first place? And so here's a link. Well, learn how to request your final amateurism certification here. How do you know what these arbitrary answers are going to produce? So this is, it sure seems to me like a beauty contest, right? Do you look at it on paper? Are you going to be somebody that the alleged Eligibility Center / Clearinghouse is going to determine as worthy? So it says the NCAA will determine your eligibility. Well, who the hell does that within the NCAA? Nobody knows. The whole thing is, I don't know, in my opinion, it's awful.
Stop it!
As much as I want to tell them to stop it, I just believe they're going to keep making it a beauty contest and cherry pick everybody else. When we come back from break, I'm going to continue on with this NCAA amateurism rules section from the NCSA college recruiting page. You can check that out, ncsasports.org. This is ridiculous. Back here in a few minutes on the Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorded shows, which can all be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer, Facebook, you name it. We're there. You can't get away from us. Also, make sure you check out the partners page. Lots of great partners over there. And just to name a few of them, we have a wonderful book by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. called The Real Anthony Fauci. And needless to say, that is a must read. So, folks, we know that Robert F. Kennedy is doing a wonderful job. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., that is, doing a wonderful job as the head of Health and Human Services for these United States of America. Of course, Bobby always gets a big round of applause. You got to read that book, folks. If you really want to learn about the health side of things that maybe a lot of people have been, we'll say, misinformed about, or conveniently certain items have been left out of the media, well, there's a very good story behind it. And read that book. I got to tell you, man, it is really, really good reading. So, also, another one of our really, really nice, long-standing partners has been with the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Long time, since the very beginning of this show for the most part. They have been with us, and we want to give them a nice round of applause. Check them out, folks, at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. And I'll tell you what, their baseball team, I mean, it is good. They rank among the best programs in the United States for JUCO baseball, and they have put a lot of players in professional baseball. I mean, shoot, I remember just going to the first games season by season. There are scores and scores of pro scouts, and I think the last time I went to one of those, there was probably about 30 of those jugs guns, or the speed guns, for measuring pitcher speed and whatnot. And man, it is really a sight to see. It's a beautiful stadium down there at the Henderson campus. And if you ever get a chance, if you're here in the Vegas Valley, check that out, folks. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. They are different, financially speaking, from the College of Southern Nevada. So we want to support our friends on the athletic side at csncoyotes.com. All right. So, yeah, back with this college basketball thing and the NCAA generally speaking. Let's just stick with that. So, while the National Collegiate Athletic Association, NCAA, doesn't have an official age limit for college sports, it's very difficult for older athletes to meet the eligibility requirements. And the explanation, allegedly, is the NCAA has many rules and regulations, including academic performance, amateurism rules. That's where we left off. We're going to get back to that in just a moment. And age limit restriction factors, so to say, but yet they're not restrictions. NCAA has that 5-year rule limit as well to basically 4 seasons of competition in any one Division I college sport. Eligibility requirements also can make it hard for older students to play. So maybe a 40-year-old person, maybe you want to play sports. Well, guess what? They're saying eligibility requirements make it harder for older students to play. And what are those eligibility requirements? Nobody really outlines them. Those are just a figment of somebody's convenient imagination. And also, an alleged explanation is collegiate sports are very competitive and younger athletes may have an advantage. Maybe they don't. Also, as people get older, it can be harder to keep up with the athleticism of young players. Maybe that's true. You never know. Some people come into their own in their 30s and they end up being superstars. So I don't necessarily buy that 100%. Also, student athletes can continue competing in intercollegiate athletics after receiving a bachelor's degree if they have any remaining eligibility. Where's the old red shirt thing comes in. We're going to get to that in a second. NCAA Division III schools have different eligibility guidelines than Division I and II. That's a whole nother discussion. You can play if you're 50, 60 years old. As long as you are a student, you can play. And of course, each school and conference determines eligibility standards at the Division III level. Now back to that red shirt thing. In case you don't know what that is, a red shirt freshman is a college student athlete who sits out of gameplay their freshman year and begins their first athletic season during their sophomore year. Now, in football, you can play up to 4 games and still redshirt. But in basketball, you must sit out the entire season. So it's a little bit different. It's probably because football has a lot less games than basketball. And, you wonder in basketball, well, how come these players, you have this guy wears, like Jordan wore a 23 and Bryant wore an 8 and Bill Russell wore number 6. Well, guess what? Russell's contribution to basketball went so far beyond his ridiculous skills on the court and his 11 championships. He was an influential civil rights activist as well during a time of tension in America. So to pay tribute to his legacy as a player and a leader off the court, the NBA retired the number 6 throughout the league just a couple of years ago. So you see, nobody can wear number 6 in the NBA ever again, in case you didn't know. Now back to this college stuff here. How about college hoops? We think of what's the weakest college basketball team. I mean, look, there's some good teams. We know that Duke's always near the top, and Kansas has been there, and Kentucky's been there, the Blue Bloods, right? Well, how about Mississippi Valley State University? Known as, according to, pick your favorite source, this one, the New York Times. They say, well, actually, here, this is for you, New York Times. That's right. With your blue spin on everything, we give you the chorus of boos. We actually like the New York Post better. Anyway, Mississippi Valley State University is the country's alleged worst college basketball team. It's a poor program financially, according to the New York Times, and plays nearly its entire non-conference schedule on the road, where the Delta Devils haven't won a non-conference game in more than 18 years. Man, that's a long time. That's a long time. Speaking of college basketball, the NCAA certification requirements, which we will get back to, I promise, it's called the ECAG operating procedures, I'll have you know, do not have any age restrictions for players to actually play college basketball. Generally, until athletes have fully enrolled at the institution, they're still considered a prospect. So let's go back to this amateurism rule thing. So I had said, well, there was a committee, this eligibility center / clearinghouse, and the NCAA will determine your eligibility once you, as a applicant, complete a set of questions about the teams they have participated on, and based on the answers, the NCAA will determine eligibility. So understanding the rules to this around the process is critical, and many of the amateurism violations happen well before an athletes have their status reviewed. But then again, how do we know what those are? Nonetheless, we'll go to this NCAA amateurism rules, according to the NCSA college recruiting website. So NCAA rules in this area are not easy to interpret. You think? However, more than 95% of the recruits will not have a problem meeting the NCAA requirements. For athletes who have non-traditional athletic history, here are the main points to look out for. This is the meat of it. Receiving compensation that exceeds actual and necessary expenses. The NCAA does allow athletes to receive some compensation as an amateur athlete, as long as the amount does not exceed what are deemed actual and necessary expenses. Now stop right there, because this is exactly counter to the whole name, image, and likeness nonsensical BS where some of these kids make millions of dollars a year. So that is in direct conflict. The NCAA has this alleged rules. Now they continue on with some athletes are asked to join travel teams in which their cost is covered by the team, and this would be allowed. However, if an athlete is paid more than travel costs, they could get into trouble. Really? Then what the hell happens with the NIL stuff? Moving on. Receiving compensation for media appearances based on your athletic ability or fame. Well, this is, again, in direct conflict with what? The name, image, and likeness. And they continue on with the obvious rules violation is being paid appearances, fees, but this also can include things like athletes with large YouTube followings where they are profiting from their advertising dollars. Well, that is counter to the name, image, and likeness program. Another one, endorsing expressly or implicitly commercial products or services. This is one of the more difficult areas to interpret. If the athlete is being paid in any way to wear a specific brand or promote a product, it would be considered a violation. Again, a direct conflict with name, image, and likeness. And finally, they have this other piece here. It says accepting prize money beyond the actual necessary expenses. It's not illegal for a potential NCAA athlete to have competed in professional competition. However, if they're eligible to win prize money, they cannot exceed the amount more than the necessary expenses. And there is an exception for tennis players who are allowed to accept up to $10,000 a year and still maintain eligibility. Well, folks, I got to tell you, every one of these bullet points are in direct conflict with the rules and regs for the name, image, and likeness setup and that nonsense. I have to say that the NCSA, this college recruiting organization, check them out, folks, at ncsasports.org. Their statements on the NCAA Eligibility Center, amateurism rules, is in direct conflict. So what do we really know? We only know what's being spun to us by the blue media. Folks, check it out for yourself. This is a bunch of BS as I see it. Back here with more nonsensical BS in just a few minutes here on the Sports Circus.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196.
Do a search on how to get out of credit card debt, and you'll find everything from crazy promises to ways you can try to do it yourself. Many of those ideas just don't work, and they leave you broker than you were. Here's some advice. Call our debt helpline. In a quick and free 5-minute conversation, our experts will listen to you and learn about how much credit card debt you have, what your goals are, and then show you the right solution to help you get out of credit card debt with one new simple, affordable payment. The credit card companies make available special programs to help if you're struggling. All it takes for you to finally get out of credit card debt is one quick, free phone call. So please call right now.
800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. 800-948-6817. That's 800-948-6817. Paid for by the Debt Helpline.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure you check out the sportscircus.com for upcoming guests, prior guests, recorded shows, which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer, Facebook, and so forth and so on. Also, make sure you check out the store page tab right at the top in the center at the sportscircus.com. Lots of great items on there, whether it's hats, hoodies, t-shirts, sweatpants, pillows, mouse pads, travel mugs, coffee mugs, whatever it is. Check it out at the sportscircus.com on the store tab. And if you say that your Ringmaster Cell sent you, maybe we'll give you an extra 10% off of anything you pick up from there. So again, that's the sportscircus.com store. Check it out, folks. Yes! All right, welcome back to everybody. You know who you are. And, thinking about this, the rhetoric, I should say, of the college football, college basketball scene, whatever the heck it is, right? All that stuff. You say, well, there is no age limit technically, whatever. Then there's this whole amateurism thing. They have to take a questionnaire, right? So let's just see if you're not necessarily invited to this, that, or the other. Well, you have to take this questionnaire. And then the NCAA will decide whether you're worthy or not. So you say, well, what the hell is on this amateurism questionnaire? This is according to ncsasports.org. This site is really disturbing to me because this is in 100%, as I see it, 100% conflict with what? The name, image, and likeness set up in the first place. Which I'm absolutely against in the first place as it stands. It seems, as I see it, that there is a truckload of corruption in that. But let's get back to this amateurism questionnaire. How about this? So here's the following are a list of questions that are currently part of the NCAA amateurism questionnaire according to NCSA college recruiting. Item 1, bullet point 1, educational background. You will need to list the date of attendance, name, country, cost of attendance. U.S. high schools are free. Not all of them. Graduation dates and where you live while you attended. The next bullet point is athletic participation. The section requires athletes to fill in the following for each team you've been a part of. Team name, contact info for the team or organization, league affiliation, dates of participation, number of contests played, and a list of the expenses you received. Now, wait a minute. Why is that? That to me seems like personal data. You say, well, wait a minute, what the hell are you talking about? Listen, personal data deals with what? Well, real simply, it is about finances. Expenses you receive, personal information, personal data. I don't think so. No. That is personal and private information. I don't think so. That, in my opinion, should never, ever be a part of an application or a questionnaire. That, as I see it, is a violation in a very, very big way of your personal private data. That basically falls under, as I see it, under an illegal search, and that is in the Bill of Rights. You better check that out in case you don't know your constitutional amendments, folks. Now, here's another one. Did you receive any money beyond actual and necessary expenses as part of your participation with the listed organizations? Again, same objection. They continue on with the majority of athletes answer no here. If you did receive any compensation beyond the costs associated with participating in or traveling into an event listed here. So if you list it there, you're voluntarily giving your data. So you're saying, okay, take a look at me. But you also have the right, as I see it, to not disclose because that's personal, private information. So you shouldn't have to list that. That's a bunch of nonsense. Objection! Once again! Did any of your team members receive money beyond expenses? Well, how the hell are you going to know? Really? The majority of athletes answer no here, according to the website. But if you did play in a professional organization listed here. But wait a minute. It didn't say anything about professional organizations. The question is, Did any of your team members receive money beyond expenses? Now, because you did that, or somebody did that, it would denote what? Amateur athletics has been put aside and deemed as professional. But wait a minute, that is in direct conflict with name, image, and likeness. So therefore, that is a privacy issue once again that obviously the NCAA college recruiting website doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't know a damn thing about, because again, that is in direct conflict and disclosure from the NCAA NIL situation in the first place. I don't think so. Objection again. How about this one? Did you sign any type of agreement to participate on any of your teams? All right. They say many travel teams have team agreements. You should list those here. Notice they say should. This is also meant to catch any athletes who may have signed professional contracts. Be prepared to show a copy of the agreement. Okay. So if that is the case, would you agree, folks, that signing a name, image, and likeness agreement or contract is professional? Yes, I'll say it's professional because you're getting paid. Your amateur status is gone once you're paid $1 for something. So these kids are cashing in on their fame and all this other nonsense. All right. So that being said, this again is in direct conflict. This questionnaire question, according to NCSA, is in direct conflict of the name, image, and likeness situation. All right. Next bullet point. Next question. Did any of the teams call themselves professional? And they say, if you played for an organization that had professional teams in the upper ranks, but your team was considered amateur, you should list them here. Most athletes answer no. Why the hell should you list it there if your team was considered amateur? This is stupid. The next question. Did you or do you have a written verbal agreement with any agent or agency? Well, last I checked, these NIL arrangements through these collectives, these alleged collectives, which in my opinion are just money laundering and I don't know, just skimming devices as I see it. Of course, that's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. Yeah, of course, the kids have contracts with them. So to answer the question, they say not all contracts with agents are illegal, but you should be extremely wary of signing an agreement and seek the advice of an NCAA expert before signing. Why? So they get their take off the NIL money. Again, this is a right to privacy issue. Next question they say is, have you or your family ever accepted any money from an agent or agency? This is going back to the Stone Ages, back to when, let's say, when Eric Dickerson had his issues at SMU. And Eric didn't take the car and all this other crap, but SMU got the death sentence, which is complete lunacy. So anyway, they say, have you or your family ever accepted any money from an agent or agency? Well, the NCSA says this is almost always a clear violation. You may be allowed to give the benefits back and be eligible, but to be safe, always avoid taking anything from an agent. Well, guess what? What are the collectives? Are they viewed as agents? Well, you better believe, in my opinion, they are, because they sure act like an agent. They talk like an agent. They walk like an agent. They collect money like an agent. So therefore, in my opinion, they're agents in the first place. Because why? What do they say? Show me the money! And I'll show you an athlete that'll wear your stuff or promote your business. Next question on this alleged questionnaire to determine if you can actually participate. If you're beyond the age and you haven't been recruited. Have you ever been involved in an advertising or promotion? Advertisement or promotion. That's right, advertisement or promotion. Say that a few times. Okay, this rule can be difficult to interpret, as you should consult an NCAA expert before agreeing to any promotions or advertisements. Well, guess what, folks? That's what the whole name, image, and likeness thing is in the first place. Outdated information from this organization, folks. The next item on the questionnaire, mind you, this is an NCAA questionnaire, not from NCSA. This is from the NCAA. Yeah, in case you're wondering what we're talking about, you just tuned in. This, believe it or not, this ridiculous conversation is about NCAA amateurism rules, and there's a questionnaire. So you got to fill this thing out, apparently, right? So they say, another question is, have you accepted prize money? Yeah, we already talked about that. How did you learn about the school or recruiting that's actually recruiting you? Popular answer to this question includes email, text, call, whatever. So they're trying to coach you on what to say. Next question on this alleged questionnaire is, who contacted you and encouraged you to attend this university? So it's illegal for boosters, Ohio State, to try to persuade recruits to attend a school. Here is more on booster rules if you click this little link. But I got to tell you, folks, we have the likes of Ohio State, Alabama, Penn State, Notre Dame, and all of those wonderful institutions that we always seem to see at the top of the college football world. Well, it seems like their boosters throw a little bit of money for the slush fund for recruiting and the name, image, and likeness thing. In my opinion, that's how I see it. And all I'm saying is, really, seriously,
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Stop it!
That's right. Every one of you. I don't want to hear about your Ohio State.
Stop it!
Most athletes list things like college coaches, family, high school, etc., and whatnot as the influence or who has encouraged you to attend. And then they say on this alleged NCAA amateurism rules questionnaire, please list all official visits taken. If you have taken any official visits to them, list them here. Well, guess what? What is an official visit in today's time when there's money involved in everything? It's crazy. So it seems like everybody violates these rules now with this name, image, and likeness signing nonsense. And we have another one here. The last question apparently is, did you or someone representing you ever use a recruiting service or another individual to help you find an institution or aid in finding an athletic scholarship? Well, that goes right back, again, as I see it, to the name, image, and likeness situation. What are they doing? They're recruiting. Go ahead and advertise Joe Blow Car Agency, whatever the heck it is. I don't know, just something I'm throwing out there, or this company or that company. And, oh, by the way, we are alumni of this organization or this institution or that institution. This is how badly the system is broken. And they say, as long as you're using an NCAA compliant recruiting service like the NCSA College Recruiting, you will have no issues. That's right. So what they're saying is use us because we'll get around everything, and that's what we do. This is a big crock of you-know-what, folks. Back here in 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.